Hi, everybody. It's Thursday, and you know what that means? Time for another show, Buying, Selling, and Collecting with Paul Antonelli. Here we are again Thursday, and we have a great show today because we're going to talk about getting started selling on Amazon using Inventory Lab. And I'm telling you, if it wasn't for Inventory Lab, I would not be selling on Amazon right now, because my first few items that I put up on Amazon without Inventory Lab were a bear to do, between this screen and that screen and this screen and go here and go there and then print the labels. And what do you mean you got to print the labels 30 on a sheet? And I don't have any mailing label sheets, so go get the mailing label sheets. And then what do you mean they're not lining up correctly? It was a pain in the tuchus. And then I found Inventory Lab, and it was a dream. So I'm telling you, you got to look into it. I know everybody's looking for what we call extra streams of income. You have Mercari, you have Poshmark, you have eBay. You got to do some Amazon. You got to do some Amazon. I mean, things are selling for more money on Amazon than they do on eBay. That's another reason that I got into it. So we're just going to wait for a few more people to come in. I see Melanie's in the house. Hey, Melanie, thanks for coming in. Hello, Siosa Sells. Hello, Pages. Pages, I think I shipped an item out to you today. But we have like 10 people in. We're waiting for a few more. I know there's a lot going on Facebook right now, especially the president just came on like 5 minutes ago. And I looked, hello, Dolly, thanks for coming in. The president came on, and I looked, and I says, as I started, I says, oh, great. We're at a 23-second lag, because you know the government will get as much internet bandwidth as they need, and we'll get what's left over. Red's Outpost, thanks for coming in. So today, like I said, we are going to talk some Amazon and some Inventory Lab. And with us today, we have the Customer Engagement Coordinator Extreme, Jeff from Inventory Lab. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hey, Paul, great. Thanks for having me on today.
I'll give you a proper intro.
There we go.
I've been dying to get you on. As you know, we've been exchanging emails. And hello, Junk and Data Girl. Thanks for coming in. I've been dying to get you on to talk about Inventory Lab, because like I said earlier, if it wasn't for Inventory Lab, I would not be selling on Amazon.
Yeah, we try to make it easy for you,
Easy. I mean, hello, Cajun Roots. Thanks for coming in. I know everybody's starting to come in little by little. Thank you very much. Man, when I hit was it add to batch, and bingo, the label printer goes off, and it's like,
oh yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Compared to doing it on Amazon when, all right, you got to get the labels, and they never line up.
Right, and you never have exactly 30 items, so you're always got extra labels.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I could never get them to line up no matter what I did. I was almost to the point where I'll do a full sheet label, and then I'll cut them myself, and then you can't get them apart. And it's like, this is crazy. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And then you guys came along. Well, you guys have been out. How long have you been around now, Inventory Lab?
Wow. Ryan Stevens started. He actually started as a seller, an Amazon seller, and he was looking for an application that would help him keep track of his accounting, along with track his sales and that sort of thing, and automatically, fit in those costs and kind of streamline that process along with the listing process. Because like you were mentioning, the going into Seller Central and listing products, it's not as streamlined as you'd think it would be. A lot of moving around and that sort of thing. And
yep.
And then the labels are just a pain. So he created this, I want to say it was right around 2013, 2014, right in there.
Okay.
And then it's been, every year we've been improving, adding upon it. And a lot of times the improvements we make are from customers, so what they like to see. How can we, how can we make the app better for our customers? Because really, that's what it's about. So
Exactly. I put the link in to the Inventory Lab website. Does Inventory Lab have a YouTube page, Jeff?
we do, yeah. If you just search, youtube.com/inventory lab, you should find it.
Okay. Hello, Flippin'
I can look
Frozen.
for the link.
Thanks for coming. James, I see you're and a couple of people actually on the Facebook side. Come over to YouTube. That way you could see everybody's questions and everybody could see yours. So, all right. So Inventory Lab's been around for quite a while then.
Right.
And like I said, and we would talked a little bit before, Inventory Lab gives you Scoutify. And even I talked to so many people, experienced resellers that use Scoutify, that love it. And they just talk about that instead of just talking about Inventory Lab. But I have yet to play around with Scoutify. And I guess that's a component of Inventory Lab.
Right. It's included with your subscription to Inventory Lab. So you would get, the use of Stratify, which is a desktop app. Everybody just refers to it as Inventory Lab, but it does have a name. It's called Stratify. And then
Okay.
Scoutify comes along with that subscription free. It's all included. And you can either do a monthly or a yearly. Monthly is $49 a month, and yearly is $480 a month. But what we do at the beginning is give you a 30-day free trial once you sign up, and you get full functionality. The only thing you don't get pulled in from Amazon is all of your historical data. So we can only go back 60 days of your transaction history, but we'll pull in all of your inventory. You have full functionality in all the different pages, so you get to actually try it out with no restriction.
Okay. Yeah, Flippin' Frozen, I think he just answered your question. Melanie posted the page. Thank you, Melanie.
Thanks, Melanie.
So do you want to take us through a typical listing and show everybody
Sure.
how easy it is?
Yeah, you bet. Let's see. Let me switch over there. So this is our landing page when you first get there. This is our test account. We'll probably see a bunch of errors when I start adding items to batches because we're not approved in anything other than the basic Amazon products. So, when I put in like Nike shoes and that sort of thing, I'll probably get errors. So I try to avoid those because we just use this to test. So anyway,
Okay.
you come to this main page and you can do walkthroughs. We have a step-by-step process to teach you how to list or set your settings up. Or if you want to learn how to use Scout. Scout is the Stratify version of Scoutify. They're the same app basically, but that's in a desktop version, which you can get to right here. But excuse me, to list, you just go up to list and prep. And there's a lot of batches here and shipments because we do a lot of testing. Our developers are using this all the time. So, but that's kind of what a typical account would look like when you're listing items. So kind of the basics. Batch is, we like to think of that as like a shopping cart. So if you're going out either online arbitrage or retail arbitrage, or maybe you have a wholesale account, it's items that you want to send into Amazon Fulfillment Center. You put those into your batch. And then from the batch, you're going to create your shipments. But initially, you're just going to create a batch. You just click up there on the new batch button. Now I can call this batch anything, like Paul's batch. And I can even say, it was maybe it's just Walmart items or Target items or those sorts of things if I'm doing retail arbitrage. You can create a buy list using Scoutify, which I can show later or tomorrow. And when you get that buy list done, like say you're at doing retail arbitrage, or even if you're just doing it off of your phone, you can add items to a buy list, email that list to yourself, and then upload it. So it makes creating the batch very quick and easy. But we'll just do a regular batch here.
Now,
So
what you're showing, James, is a batch that's completed already?
no, I'm just creating a new batch. This is how you create a new batch. Yeah. So, and then you can pick your ship from address if you use several different addresses. Maybe you have wholesaler accounts that'll ship it into Amazon. Packing type, normally it's individual products, but you can also do case packed items if that's how you get them. The channel is FBA. You can also do merchant fulfilled from here and create your items. If you merchant fulfill on Amazon and you do a merchant fulfilled batch, as soon as you send the feeds, those items are then live in about 5 minutes or less. But this will be an FBA batch. So the FBA is fulfillment by Amazon, if you're not familiar, for any of the viewers aren't familiar. And what that means is you box up your items, you ship them to Amazon. Amazon then will sell them and ship them for you once they sell. Workflow type, normally we have private and we have live. The difference really is on private, it's kind of, we like to talk about it as, say, sending an email. So on private, I'm sending an email to Amazon and they're going to reply back to me with where they want those items to go. If I was listing live, it'd be more like a phone conversation. Oh, I'm putting this item into the batch now. Where do you want it to go? Amazon will then designate a shipment for it right as I'm listing. And so you'll see those created off here to the left side in the working shipments window.
Can I elaborate on that a little?
Yeah, you bet. Let me just cancel this out real quick.
No,
when you create
no, what I was going to say was, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I wanted to say, yesterday, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, I was talking about one of the points that does by doing it private or live is when I was doing one of my first shipments without Inventory Lab, I had the box all packed and weighed, and I came back and I started to put everything into Amazon, and I said, oh, wait a minute, now there's a change. Now we only need 42 items, and 5 of those have to go to this warehouse. And It's like, why couldn't you tell me that before? But now when I did my first Inventory Lab, I was like, oh, no, this goes here, and that goes here, and you're all done. So that was one of the things that was very, very cool and time-saving about it also.
Yeah, we found this is, it's just kind of anecdotal evidence based on our customers' emails to us that when they're listing live, Amazon tends to split up into more shipments than they do when you list private. Yep. So you may want to, and we always encourage people to start with private to kind of get the process down, because private is a lot more forgiving than live. You can make some mistakes with live where items can get accidentally added into a shipment that you've already sent out. So you have to really be careful about those. But
Road Reselling says I'm prepping my shipment now with Inventory Labs.
Oh, awesome.
FBA and FBM.
Oh, great. An old hand at it then. That's perfect. So then labeling preference, you can send in items commingling. Commingling is when you ship your items, you don't put a label on them. They just go in with the barcode that's on the package. And then Amazon groups them all together with other sellers. Now, there have been times where your item gets sold, but they're using somebody else's item for the product. And so maybe that's a counterfeit item. We've had reports of that where Amazon will send something and then your account gets closed or suspended while they investigate. And then you have to prove that you actually purchased it legitimately and that sort of thing. So if you want to avoid that, make sure you just use, I will label all my items. But we do leave the option open for, commingling, or you can have Amazon label the items for you if you want to pay a per item fee. That's 20 or 30 cents an item for them to label. Then you can have box content on or off. You do have to provide box content to Amazon if you send in more than one box in a shipment. But you can do that in Seller Central if you like, and if you prefer to do that, you can have this off. If you use a prep center and the prep center only works in Seller Central to create the shipments, you probably want to have this off, because what you're going to do then, this is kind of an advanced topic, but we can certainly go over that later if you like. You can just upload the shipping plan, and then it's created by your batch, but you don't create shipments or anything. You just send the feeds of the batch, and then you upload a shipping plan into Seller Central, and then your prep center works off that shipping plan. And the advantage to that is By you doing that, you've entered all of your buy costs and supplier information, purchase date, all of those things that are going to feed into your sales and your financial reports when the items sell. So that's an important step. But for this one, I'll just leave box content on. Min and max, you can have that not captured, or you can set that up in Seller Central, or if you like, you can send it to Amazon with the batch feeds, and that'll set your min and max price in Seller Central. Sometimes Amazon, if they don't see a min and max price for certain items, they'll suspend the listing from your account until that's entered, because they want to make sure your pricing is satisfactory to them. If you use a repricer, you can just save it to Inventory Lab and let your repricer do all that work. Or you can choose not to capture it. Shipping method, you can ship pallets if you like. It'd be a LTL, or less than truckload. Most often it's a small parcel delivery. That's just boxing up your 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 box shipment to send into Amazon. So I'll start with that one. So basically I'm creating it, and now we have your batch. And an MSKU is a merchant stock keeping unit, and in Amazon they call it a SKU, but for us it's a MSKU, but it's the same thing. You can set that up to where, by clicking on this edit button, I can let IL, Inventory Lab, create my MSKU, which will just be a number, a unique number. You can also set it as a prefix, and you can put in a prefix you want. Like one of our devs was in here and they put Chrissy is cool for the prefix, but I could change that to anything, maybe a supplier. Maybe I went to Walmart for this batch and I want to put, make sure all my MSKUs for this batch and these items have Walmart in front of it. I could do that. The other option is having a variable MSKU set up. And this is, you can have, as part of your MSKU, you can have the supplier name, purchase date, list price, sales rank, ASIN, condition, and buy cost. And you can also create a custom option, like right here we have webinar. So it's very easy to change this. I can just drag and drop it. So now if I use this option, my MSKU is going to have the count. That's how we make sure your MSKUs don't repeat or duplicate, because that's a no-no in Amazon's world. And then it has the buy cost, the condition, and it'll say webinar. So I'm just going to save that. Now, you can search just the Amazon catalog if you don't have any unlisted inventory. That's something fairly new, the unlisted inventory page, and that's going to be of interest to sellers that sell on eBay, Etsy, any of the other marketplaces, because you can keep track of your inventory that is not in the Amazon ecosystem. So if you want to keep, so if you want to like only send in Amazon, in an Amazon circumstance, say it's a seasonal item, you got a good deal on it, so you want to keep track of it, so you would put it in unlisted inventory, maybe tag it Halloween. So getting closer to Halloween, you can pull that unlisted inventory from your unlisted inventory page and add it right to the batch, and it keeps track of your inventory that way. Or perhaps you just want to sell it on eBay, you could tag it with eBay, and then you can go to that page, which is under the inventory menu item, and just look for your eBay item so you can keep track of that. Also, and so you can also maybe Amazon has restrictions on a certain item where they only want 5, a certain number of them, and you can only send in, say, 5 or 10 of those at a time, but you got a good deal, so you bought 100 of them. Well, you list the 10 and send those in, and the other 90 you would put in unlisted inventory. Then once your inventory levels allowed it, you could just add and just keep adding from that. So for example, I'm going to search both, and I'm just going to say Folgers. I wanted to sell some Folgers. Now, if you search for a title, if you leave it vague, it's going to give you lots of options. The more information in this field, the narrower the search gets. So you can search by UPC. You could scan the UPC off of your item if you'd like. Or you can type in the title, type in the ASIN, that sort of thing. So here it shows, okay, I have 371 of these available. Is this the one that I want to sell? Because I said Folgers, so it's pretty generic. But say I wanted to sell this one. So I have 2 available in my inventory, but I just purchased 10 more at Walmart because it was a good deal.
This is on your unlisted inventory.
Right. This is unlisted. This would be my Amazon listing, but this is the one I want to use. So I'm going to use this MSKU because I've already created it.
Okay.
And it separates into different expiration dates. So I can, want to make sure I send in the earliest one. So I'm going to click that one, and then, oops, let me just get one in there, and then I can add more to it. And now it's already added. It's already using the same MSKU that I had before. And I've got unlisted quantity 1 of 1 with that expiration date, which is, as I scroll up right here. Excuse me. Now I can add my other 10 items by just clicking on Add Purchase. And you see I've already got unlisted 1 of 1, but let's see, maybe I purchased these for $6, no discounts or anything. So I'm going to click OK there. My supplier, I'll just use Walmart. If I have different ones I go to, I can select that. These indicators here, I can also set up my suppliers to be, say you have people that are outsourcing for you and you want to separate their purchases, you can put their initials after. That's one way some of our customers track it. Date purchased, I'm just going to use today's date. And in the quantity, I have 10 of those. And so as soon as I add that 10 in, I'm pulling 1 from unlisted and I'm pulling 10 from my additional quantity.
Wow.
And then, oops, I clicked add a row. I didn't mean to do that. I just mean to save changes there. Excuse me. Now, if I were to, and let me just back up just a bit. That would be if I wanted to use the same, they were the same expiration date.
Right.
If I had items, I'm just going to add these to the batch. If I have items that I want to add that are a different expiration date, I first add the ones with the similar expiration date, and then I come here and I say, I'm going to add some more with a different expiration. And we'll split it up into the batch with different expiration dates. So let's say I'm going to send 10 more that I bought for that amount, and my expiration date is, let's say, August of 2024. And when I add that to the batch, you can see that it splits it up. Now I have 10 of them at August 2024, and I have 11 of them from 6 of 2021 that are going to expire.
Right.
So that's important because when you create your shipments, Amazon requires that if you have different expiration dates, they cannot mix in the same box. They can be in the same shipment, but you have to separate them by boxes. So I'll show you what happens when I do that. Whoops. Get back to where I was. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm just going to add one more item, and I'm going to show you the rest of that list page. I kind of skipped ahead there, but that's kind of how it'll look in the batch. So I'm just going to add, let's see, Dixie cups. May get an error on this one. We'll see.
Is it have live inventory on there?
You mean what it's pulling from Amazon?
Right.
Yeah, that's all the listings right here on the bottom. This just
Okay.
shows my unlisted, but if I want to look for Amazon, I just scroll down. Now I can also just turn off unlisted and just go with the catalog. And if I were to search for Dixie cups.
No, because I got a barcode if you want a barcode number.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can try that if you like. Sure. Go ahead.
6-305-09-63-2121.
All right. And again, you can scan, if you have a scanner hooked up to your computer, you can scan that barcode. It'll fill in that for you. Makes the process pretty quick. So right now we're looking on Amazon for this item here. So what it's going to tell you when you first get the listing is this link, it's a hyperlink title, and that's going to take you right to the Amazon page. It shows the image from the listing. The rank doesn't have a rank yet. It shows you this large standard size category. And if Amazon sends us prep type, it's going to show there. But Amazon doesn't always send us the prep type, so make sure you're aware, if it's a liquid, if it's in a glass container, if it's a granular thing like coffee, those things have to be packaged in a certain way. So make sure you take care of that on your own. You can set a reminder if it's not an expiration date item. You can set your own reminder. So maybe in 2 months you want to check back on this item and make sure you either pull it, or maybe you want to buy more, checking on sales. You can put the date, you can put the message, and on that date, it's going to send you it's going to give you an indicator up here. That's what that little red thing is. That'll take you, if you click on the envelope, it'll take you to your reminders page, and then your message will pop up with this item information. Tax code, that's getting more and more important these days with more states jumping on the sales tax issue. Amazon is taking care of a lot of them. I think most of the states now are signed up, and Amazon has a deal where they'll collect the tax. But you want to make sure that you've got the proper tax code in there. So let's see, if I was to look for toys, let's see, and that's an AGEN tax. So let's go here. I think maybe it's not in there as toys. Let me just scroll down here. Could have the wrong. They have so many tax codes, they always have to look through.
So now I saw it said books in there. So there's different tax for different items?
Right. So the reason for that is some jurisdictions will charge you a sales tax for groceries, whereas others won't.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So depending on where the buyer is, maybe their jurisdiction doesn't charge for sales tax for, say,
clothing,
computer software,
right?
Or clothing.
Yep. So if I was in New Hampshire where they have no sales tax, it would be nothing. Yeah,
you wouldn't have to worry about it, but if the item sells somewhere else, you may have to. So it's always important to set up your tax code here. And I don't see, you'd have to look at the category is toy, but for a tax code, they may not, it may be a household product possibly.
Maybe it's just general merch.
Could be.
General merch.
Yeah, it could be just general tax. If you for sure know that it's not a taxable item anywhere, you could put no tax, gen tax.
Okay.
And then if it has batteries, mark those because those are required. We default to no because most often the items have no batteries, but if they do, check those yes, and there'll be further questions, battery type, that sort of thing. Now the quantity, maybe I have 5 of these. Now you see where I can't click in this field because it's grayed out.
Yeah.
And that is because I have the total cost calculator on, and that's what this icon means. You can turn this on or off. If you prefer not to use it, you can turn it off. All you have to do is go up here, go to settings. I'm not going to go there right now, but I'll show you in a little bit how to turn that on and off. But that's how you do it.
Yellow Brick Reselling had a question. Can you clear that reminder date? My auto fills, and I would prefer to not have a date in there.
So every time you're listing, it fills in a date to your reminder. Is that what's happening?
Wait a minute. Then he says, ignore that question. I cleared the date, and it seems to be okay.
Yeah, remind me on that, Paul. I'll go over that as well on the advanced settings, because what you can do to streamline, we have a setting where it defaults from the last entry. So, for example, if I have all of the fields check marked on my settings page, my advanced settings,
yep,
they'll default from the last entry. So whatever I put in here for this item, the subsequent items are all going to be the same information unless I change it again. So that if you're, say, for example, you're listing all books and you get the tax code set for books and you got 20 books to list and the supplier's the same, the purchase date's the same, all that, you can turn all that on in your settings page. And then every time you scan a book, all that's already filled in for you, so you don't have to keep selecting each time. So it kind of streamlines the process there as well.
All right. Yeah, he said he's had the auto pop date in there for the past year, and I guess he just finally cleared it.
Oh, okay. So total cost calculator, you click there, you can put in the cost per unit. And then if you're shopping at a place that gives you a discount, you put in the percentage. Just put in, like, say you get a 10% discount when you shop at this place. Now that automatically calculates your buy cost, but you have an 8% sales tax. So now it's bumped up a little bit. If you have any other costs, maybe you want to add your prep cost for this item to send in for supplies. Maybe it's $1.
Oh, okay.
So when I click on OK, then it fills that in for me. Now to change it, I just got to click back in the total cost calculator. Some people like this for that reason, that they can keep track of every little item. Other people would rather just figure it out on their own, put a cost in there. So it's because it is quicker to do it without it. But
right.
if you have the autofill on, it's going to automatically fill that in. You just have to go in and change the buy cost. But
okay,
purchase date, same thing. I just click there, supplier. I can this there. And it doesn't have an expiration date, so I just click the little eyeball to turn that off, so I don't have to worry about that.
okay.
The shipping, that is your shipping estimate for you to ship it to Amazon. If you're merchant fulfilling, you don't have to worry about this. And this is just an estimate, and that's just going to figure into your total expenses, and that's how we're going to get this net profit per unit over here on the right. So we figure 50 cents a pound to ship to Amazon, so we're going to put that in there. You can see how it's filled out the MSKU based on my settings.
Yep.
The cost, count, the new webinar that I had put in there, or the condition, and then webinar tag. Now I can set any condition I want. This is important for books, because also on that settings page that I can go over, if you're listing books, you can set up pre-filled in condition notes. Say your condition notes for your books are like always the same. Whenever you list a used like new book, it's always going to be a first edition copy. So you could fill it in on your settings page. So every time you select that condition, it's always going to put that in there. And then I can click on common notes. And so maybe I've got some pen markings. I could add that. I could do some highlighting. It's not going to, obviously it's not going to be a used like new book with that, but it adds that in there automatically for you. So maybe it's used good instead.
Yeah, very cool.
I've set that for my stuff. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. For new items, Amazon doesn't allow any kind of notes.
Right.
They used to, they don't now, so you can't put anything in there. So right here on this item, it kind of gives you a little bit of scouting information. So it's telling you there's 14 offers on this item. The original list price, if you listed it in the past, it would show there. Currently, the FBA price is $63.89 in new condition, and that's the one that has the buy box. I know it has the buy box because it has the indicator right here. If it had a used buy box, it'd be a little open box. New condition, that's for merchant fulfilled. And so if it had the buy box, that would also show an indicator there. Now I can also set up on settings when we get in there, and it shows you, I want to match my list price to the buy box price, whatever that is. We will first check for FBA if it's a buy box there. If not, we'll move to the new column and match that buy box price. And if there's not one there, then we'll go to the used. And that will fill in automatically for you here. You can also, if you're selling books, you can check Book Scouter. You can check eBay to see if anything matches that item. Check on Google, Camel. You can check just the prime sellers for this item. You can also click here to check restrictions. That'll take you to Seller Central. If you're already logged in, it'll take you right to the Add a Product page. That's under the Inventory tab in Seller Central. And that's where it'll give you if you're restricted. It doesn't give you all the restrictions because some of those you have to wait until you actually add it to a shipping plan. That's why after you send the feeds, Amazon gets that information, and sometimes you'll get a restriction on there. Maybe it's because they're over capacity on a certain ASIN, so they don't want any more in their fulfillment centers, that sort of thing. And also, we don't get any hazardous restrictions until we send the feeds through Amazon, so we have to wait until that point. But for general restrictions, you could click that and find out.
Do you think there'll ever be a time where because this is something, well, for me anyway, I was restricted in toys, and I got it. Well, they call it gated, ungated. So
Right.
I did become ungated. But you think there'll become a time when Inventory Lab, there'll be a little something that comes up and says you can't list this with Amazon because you're gated or you're restricted?
Yeah, once Amazon allows us to pull that information earlier in the process, we're definitely going to include it. There's other applications out there that can bring you that stuff earlier, but it's involving some screen scraping, and that's against Amazon terms of service. I don't want to say that's what every app does, but for us, we follow strictly with the Amazon terms of service for software developers. We're part of their applications that they recommend on their site, and we want to make sure that our applications are functioning all the time, so we don't want to get shut down. Um, that would be a bad thing. So we follow the Amazon terms of service for developers, to the letter. So once
So
they allow it, we'll definitely do it, though.
So the restriction doesn't come up for us, for users of Inventory Lab, until you're starting to do the shipment.
Some restrictions, yeah. I mean, we send the feeds. Like if this was brand gated, I believe when I tried to add it to the batch, it would give me a restriction. But let's see if we get it there. But
Yeah, Yellow Brick Road Reselling says it does that. I had that message today when I went to list Catan dice game in Illinois, I guess.
okay, yeah. Yeah, if they have a brand restriction and that sort of thing, that stuff comes pretty early. It's usually the hazardous materials that uh, they're restricted on that show up
Okay.
later. But then you can pick your list price just by clicking. You can see right now it's $63.89, but say I'm going to do $73.89. So I just click it and it changes. That'll also change my net profit. And for your net profit, we're calculating also your shipping estimate, sales tax, all of that stuff you put in. To give you that, and then it gives you your ROI based on your buy cost. So if that all looks good, I can. Oh, and also if you have Keepa, Amazon restricted Keepa from the apps that use Amazon's API. Since Keepa became a paid application and we're charging for the information, Amazon made sure all of us took that out of our documentation and we couldn't link to it directly. But you can create custom ASIN links for any website that uses an ASIN in their information. You can create a custom ASIN link. And what that does is, for example, I'll click on the pencil. Now I can go to the Keepa page and search for any item. And then when I do, I copy that URL and then I paste it right in here. I change the display name to what I want. I can have it show up on the list page, which we're looking at right now. I can also have it visible in Scout and also Scoutify, so it's an option available to me there. So what it does is now for this item, if I were to click on Keepa link, it would open up Keepa and show me that information. I think you're probably still looking at Inventory Lab right now, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Let me switch to just showing my other tabs, so you're seeing my window. There we go. So I'm just going to close this Keepa link. I'm going to click on it again, and then you should see the Keepa page loading.
Yes.
And it links right to that item.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
So I could search for, I always go back to Folgers. It's something, I like coffee, so not that I necessarily drink Folgers coffee all the time, but it's easy for me to remember. So like right now we're looking at Folgers coffee. I'm just going to click on one there. And what I would do is I would just copy this URL right here. Just copy that. Come back here. I would click on the little pencil, and then I would paste it into one of these slots and then change the name. Now you see that it showed Folgers before, so when I click on the link again, it opens up back to that Marvel toy. Okay. So we're behind the scenes. We're just swapping out the ASIN for you. So that's kind of how we got around the restriction on having Keepa. It's not part of our app. That's something the user has to set up. So if everything looks good, I just click Add to Batch. It's talking to Amazon now, and it's also generating that FNSKU. And so here, this is blocked by gating. This is one of those restrictions.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm blocked by gating or something like that, it's not going to let me add it to the batch. And it'll give you the error details. And these are directly from Amazon. It's nothing that we generate. We're just the conduit. We just transfer it to you, show you what Amazon is telling us. And so I'd have to get approved in order to sell this item.
Right.
Another thing that it will do is, for example, with Amazon, they're big on, let me just switch to my unlisted inventory page so I can get the item. I forget what it's called. We may have taken it out. Well, what it'll do is yeah, here we go, the Chips Ahoy. So I'm on my unlisted inventory page. I'm just going to copy that ASIN. I'm going to go back. I'm going to search for it here. And you can see it's there on my unlisted inventory page, but I'm going to sell 10 of them that I just purchased. So I'll just say 5 of them. Put in my cost. I'm just punching in numbers. I know they're not the right numbers. I just want to show an example of what else will come through that. This time of year, meltables, you cannot send those into an Amazon warehouse from May through October. They won't let you do that. So these are meltables. So when I try to do that, Amazon should kick back an error saying, yeah, so it's a meltable product. Anything meltable, you can't send it in. Once I think it's October 1st hits, then you can send those into the warehouses. But that's another restriction that'll show up if you're sending in grocery products, those sorts of things.
But the good part is, if that went through and added to the batch, your printer, then your Dymo label printer, whatever, would already be printing out the labels for all the ones you just added.
Correct. Yeah, so you can use a thermal label printer with our application. So it has to be a Dymo, Zebra, Brother, Rollo. We support those 4 printers. And to turn that on, it's very simple. Right from the list and prep page, you can click on automatically print a label after adding it to a batch, which, like you said, it'll print 10 of these labels with the expiration date and 11 of these. If I have that checked, it'll also print the expiration date on there, so you don't have to put 2 labels on a product.
Nice.
You can also print.
That's one of like the best things. Is it? Soon as you add it, but now you printed the label and just put it aside or get it in the box and get it ready to go.
Right. Excuse me. You can also have it print a label, have this checked. So say I have 10 of these, but then as I'm packing things up or checking things out to add to the batch, it's like, oh, I found 2 more. So I want to go in and I want to edit my quantity, which very easy. I just click on this. We call it a hamburger icon. It's these 3 lines.
Yep.
And that opens up a menu. Now I can just edit that and I can add the quantity. If it's different expiration, then I would just use that option. And then once I add those in, if it's the same one and I'm just editing, if I have the automatically print after quantity edit, it would then print just 2 more labels. It wouldn't print 12. It just print the 2 that I don't have. So you can have that on if you're going to, if you find that you're adjusting quantities periodically, it'll automatically print those labels for you as well. So.
Yeah, that is just so much easier. So you just added an item or added 2, 3 items with not even a third of the stress that it takes from doing it directly through Amazon.
Right, and the hardest part is actually the first time you add items, because you're still kind of working out, okay, what do I want to repeat every time I add? So if I were to send in a bunch of coffee with different expiration dates, once I add that first one and I have those settings on fill automatically, it'll speed it up quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I noticed, and I'm sure that's one of the biggest things that turns people off from selling on Amazon. Is it's not easy. It's not like eBay where you just you can do it on the phone or whatever. And With Amazon, man, sure, yeah, the picture's there on the item, hopefully, but to get it to FBA is the next level of difficulty that you have to do.
Right.
And this just takes all that away.
So what we also do is we just give it a little tally right here at the bottom. Tells you how many MSKUs you have in, how many total items, your average sale rank, the total sales value, your buy cost, and then with the buy cost and the fees, your net profit. You can tell based on what I'm charging for the price and what I'm paying for this stuff, I'm not making a profit. So I'm gonna have to, maybe I want to rework my, my list price, change that up. We have some customers that will actually use this as kind of the gauge on, well, maybe I'm done for the day when I hit $500 total profit. See that there? It's like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and finish this batch up. That's one way that they would do that. You can also mouse over this this bar graph here, and you can tell that I have a lot of fees and commissions and that sort of thing. The next step after you're done adding items is just review the batch. You just click there. It's going to list all of your items. You can tell that this one was from my unlisted inventory. I have multiple from that's already tallied up on my unlisted inventory page. But if it was something I added with multiple suppliers to the batch, I could mouse over that and it would tell me exactly what suppliers and those sorts of things. I can click there and I can, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say Yellow Brick Road has been following it, and he says he could use a class on inventory alerts and how to use them to check against what Amazon says you have on hand. And
yeah, oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, then he says Inventory Labs is my #1 expense in my reselling business. It's well worth the expense.
Oh, thank you. That's good to know. Yeah, good to hear that. Speaking of the listing alerts and that sort of thing, if you go to our webinar page, which is
Melanie put it in earlier, should still be there.
The webinar or the
YouTube page.
I'll send the webinar page to you so you can put that in there. It doesn't look like I can make a comment in there, but
okay.
What I can do on the webinar page is, for those of you to go to that, you can look through our past. You can sign up for upcoming ones if you want to, attend live. And then it's where we're kind of doing a live walkthrough. And on the inventory page overview here, we're changing that up to where it's going to combine unlisted as well. Unlisted was fairly new, so we had its own separate webinar, but we're going to combine that. In the inventory page overview, we go through how to fix those alerts, what to look for. So you may even want to look at some of the recorded ones here further down the page. You can go to the inventory page overview, and that's where we go through those inventory alerts and how to go through Seller Central. Chrissy runs through the whole process on what reports you need, and those sorts of things, and how to verify against what's showing in Inventory Lab. Also, Paul has these, and there's a couple of handouts, and there's a handout that we give out on this webinar page that I've given to Paul that he can distribute to you guys. And in that inventory page PDF, there are clickable links to the Seller Central pages that you need to look into for fixing those inventory alerts if it's something like Amazon's missing or lost your inventory. So.
Yep, I'm putting my email in because I thought I could just put the link in the description, but I can't. So if anybody wants to email me, I'll just send the email to you with all the links on it. Either that, or I'll try to find a way to get them on the chat of this this show when we're all done.
Gotcha. Yeah. So then, the next step, you're reviewing. You're making sure that everything's right. You got your cost, price, all that's set. These indicators here are just tentative. This is not for sure shipment destinations. As you use Inventory Lab and the more you use it, we kind of learn which fulfillment centers or FCs that you send most of your stuff to, and these will be more accurate as you go along. But let's just say, these are the 3 tentative that we think they're going to go to. So if that all looks good, I just click submit. And it's always going to send in product feeds. But if I'm just going to send the product feeds and I don't want to commit or create shipments because I'm going to upload the shipping plan myself, I would uncheck that. But for this use case, we'll just go ahead and click the sync button. And now we're talking to Amazon, and Amazon says, yeah, I want it to go to these 3. So the tentatives were correct. One thing to watch out for here is if you don't have your settings right, if it says no label, that means commingled. And if you don't want to send in commingle, or maybe you see duplicate shipments, because sometimes that'll happen. Amazon will duplicate the feeds, and so we'll get back, instead of 3, we'll get back 6 shipments, but they're all the same. They're duplicates. They're very easy to go back. All you have to do is go to this decline shipments and go back. If I click that, it's going to confirm that's what I want to do. That basically removes the shipping plan from Amazon, and it takes you right back to the batch. And then you can do it again and get your shipment destinations again. And hopefully the feeds are correct that time where they're not duplicating. Also, if it's got commingled items in there and you don't want to send commingled, that's when you'd want to decline shipments, go back, and then you could edit those items out until your settings took effect in Seller Central.
Nice.
Now, one thing about commingled is once an MSKU is tied to a condition, or like a labeling preference, such as seller label, Amazon label, no label, or commingled, that MSKU is always going to be tied to that, regardless of what your settings are in Seller Central. So you just have to list the item using a new MSKU when you list it. So we'll get a pop-up that'll say, hey, you've listed this ASIN before. Do you want to use this same MSKU? If it's a no label one, you want to say ignore and use a different MSKU. And let me see if I can.
Do you think with all the warehouses that Amazon is building, do you think it'll ever come a point where they'll allow sellers to drop off to a warehouse that's close by to them?
God, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes.
They did that.
Because
So
I have to go to FedEx probably 10 miles up the street. If I go another 10 miles, there's the Amazon warehouse.
Yeah, just let me drop my stuff off at the loading dock. It's got the same labels that are going to be on it. You just print out a FBA label and throw it on there. That'd be nice.
Right.
Here's one of those errors that not authorized to list products in the category. So that's a category restrictions. Don't come until we actually send the feeds. And that's going to stay there until I remove it. So you want to watch for those. So once you send the feeds and you're working on box content, if you see anything like that, all you have to do is go up here, go to Amazon listing errors. And now I can, even if I cleared that accidentally, I can come here and click on the little eye. That expands it, and it tells me I'm not allowed to list this MSKU because it's a category I'm restricted in.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I'm coming back to the batch. And of course, it's the Folgers. So I can't, in this particular one, I couldn't send any of these in, but I would already know that. Got to get approved in grocery and that sort of thing. So, but say I did review this and submitted it, and I'm going to go ahead and get to the proposed FBA shipments page. Amazon requires you to create all of the shipments in a shipping plan or create none of them. So say, for example, you have a shipment that only has one item in it, but you have the other ones are fairly full, so they make sense to send. You still have to create all of the shipments, but what you can do in the future is as you list items in later batches, you can then use what we call the add to existing or add to working shipment feature. So for example, I'm just going to run through it real quick. Another warning here also is keep aware of the status, because you only have 48 hours to create these shipments. If you don't create them within 48 hours, Amazon will restructure that shipping plan and it can swap everything out, change things. So when you get to this page, just create the shipments. You got to create all of them anyway. I was thinking, okay, it's got that one. I'm going to create this one. So now I've created all of my shipments, and you can see right here, here's where they're listed.
Nice. And man, I'm
I
telling
can
you,
still add,
yeah, I'm telling you, people, if you had to do this on the Amazon site, you'd still be there doing
yeah.
it.
So now I've got all the shipments created. I've got all my items, and I can just go right now. I can go to box contents, and I want to add my box contents. So once I'm on this page, I just click enter box contents. It kind of gives you a similar page, but this is where you're going to enter box contents for the items.
Yep.
And we think this process is a lot simpler here than it is in Amazon, although they do have a web form. It's a lot easier to do it on this page, I think. You just assign, say they all go to the same box. We already create the one box for you automatically. So I just click and it's going into box one. There's 7, they're all going into the same box. I'm just gonna click assign. They're green. This transmit boxes highlights, because you can see when I click here, it's not active. I can't click on that. But if I'm up here, wait for it here. If I'm up here on this one, everything's assigned, so I know that I've entered everything and I can just click on transmit boxes. I could also do box content for everything. So let's say these 2 expiration dates. I'm going to just show you what I mean by that error thing. So I'm going to assign to a box. I can select them like that, and I can assign them to box 1. Oh, no, you can't. And the reason is we have multiple expiration dates, so I can't put them in the same box.
Oh, okay.
I have to put them in different boxes. So we keep you from making that mistake. So this one's going to go in box 1. It's already defaulted. I can't add these to that box, even though it says, well, that's my option here. If I tried to assign it, I get the same error. So I'm just going to click new, create one more box. And now when I go to assign this, the default is changed to the new box because it assumes, well, you created a new box. That's where you must want them to go. So I'm just going to assign those. And it also tells you, if you click on this little info thing, and it's going to do that as I'm listing items in there, it'll tell me the weight of the box, estimated contents weight, and that's based on what Amazon's packaged weight is for those items. It also tells me the MSKU. I can also click here and I can show FNSKU instead of MSKU if I want. Maybe I've got 3 boxes like this. I could copy the box and then create a new box that will have the same information in it. But that all looks good. Now I'm going to do this last one. This only has 1 box. I'm going to keep getting these errors now. So I'm going to assign all of them to the same box. Now you see all of these are all active. I could also, since I've done all the shipments, I could also just transmit all boxes to Seller Central. The danger in that, though, is if one of your shipments had something in there that's going to get kicked back, maybe you forgot an expiration date, or something like that. It's not going to let any of the box content feeds go through at all. So it's going to stop everything. That's why it's better to just, once you finish a box, just click on that. It'll also allow you to put in your box weight and your dimensions right here, which will transfer to Seller Central. If you don't want to use that option, you can skip the step and it's just going to take you to Seller Central once the box contents have transferred. So I'm just going to skip it for this one, but you can see it disappeared from there, but I can still access it here. So on these, I'm going to transmit also, but on this, I'm just going to say, maybe the box was 25 pounds and they were all 10 by 10 by 10 or 20. So you can see when I put it in this top field, it's going to transfer to all of these. So if they're all the same size, just put them in the top line. And then once I tab out of that, I can submit all. Now that's sending the box information for that shipment. Same thing here. I'm just going to skip that step. So now all of my box contents have been sent to Amazon, and it takes me to the close batch. It'll close the batch automatically for me. It won't leave it open on that page. And this is in case you want to do a export a shipping plan. And when I talked about the prep center, this
Yep.
would be where you do that. You just export your shipping plan file, and that's what you'd upload into Seller Central. We do have in the handouts that I sent Paul, there's articles or support articles that walk you step by step on how to do the upload a shipping plan if you're interested. But we can dive deep into that in tomorrow's show too, if that's a topic that you guys want more information on. The success box, that means that Amazon has accepted my box content for this shipment. So this shipment is good to go. And that's what you want to wait for before you go to Seller Central to finish up your shipping. You do have to purchase all of your shipping through Seller Central. Currently, we're working on a way to be able to do all that through Inventory Lab and also print your labels, but there's a bit of a problem with continuing the discount that Amazon gives you for shipping. So currently it's just you have to go to Seller Central to do that, so you can retain that discount on the preferred shipping.
Okay.
But you can see now I've got, that's why we haven't done it yet. We just want to make sure that we can transfer that discount over so you don't, pay more than you need to for your shipping.
Yeah, Amazon does have good prices on shipping, that's for sure.
Yeah. So now that all three of those have come back successful, I can go to Seller Central. And an easy way to do that is I can just come over here when I'm mousing over these, and you can see, but I want to work on this one first. I just click there. It's going to open up Seller Central, and then I can just log in. If I'm already logged in, it's going to take me right there. So let me just click there. I got to close out that, and then, oops. I may have an issue on this one because no, it does. All right. And that was because I wasn't logged in initially, but if you're already logged in, it'll automatically take you to that page. And now I can take care of my shipping. And you can see I skipped that step for this shipment.
Yep.
So I have to fill that in. But once I do, then I can calculate my shipping. Let's say I want to see the box contents again. I just click on these three lines and I can adjust things. So if say I got an error instead of the green, it said, hey, you didn't put an expiration date. That's the most common one at this step. Oh, okay, well, let me fix that. If this says NA, that means you didn't enter a expiration date.
Wow.
All I have to do is click there and it becomes editable, and then I can change the date. And let's just say I change that to the 2025. When I make a change there, I'm just going to clear these out. I have to make sure if I make a change, like add an expiration date, I have to make sure that I transmit updated boxes, because that's going to send the current box contents. And then it's going to ask me if I want to put that in. I'm going to skip that again on that one. But this one, I believe, is the one with two. Yeah, this is the one with two boxes. So if I click there, it's already entered. I don't have to do anything. I just click calculate. It's going to tell me how much my shipping is going to be. I'm not going to accept the charges, obviously, because I can't send them in anyway. But it's a pretty streamlined process, from start to finish.
Oh, definitely.
There are times too, some things to keep in mind. If you get incomplete listings in Seller Central from certain items, maybe if they're all in the same batch, it's probably because of the feeds. So always reach out to us first if you have any issues with anything you've done in Inventory Lab as far as what's showing on Seller Central, because we can save you a lot of time. We've had customers go directly to Seller Central support. Seller Central makes them relist all of the items, create new listing for them in Seller Central, when all they really had to do was come back to us. They just go to close batches, clear these error things while it's loading. We have a lot of closed batches on this page, so that's why it takes a while. But say this webinar batch was, the items in it were incomplete on Seller Central.
Yep.
All I have to do is open the batch on the closed batch page, click on restore, and I'm just going to restore it. I know I can't sell those. once it's back on this page, Paul's webinar page, I'm just going to resend the feeds only. I'm not going to create shipments again because I've already done that. So I'm just going to uncheck that, resend the feeds, and that will correct those listings in Seller Central if that was the issue. So it's a pretty simple correction process, especially when you're first starting out. If something happened in the feeds or something, don't go through all the trouble of relisting everything in Seller Central and waiting for us to sync it. Just come into Inventory Lab and resend the feeds.
Very nice.
Again, also, the shipments that show up here are only shipments that you've created in Inventory Lab. We're working also adding the ability to sync even shipments that you create in Seller Central to have them show up here. Because any changes that I make to these shipments on box content, if I were to say maybe change the quantity to 5, and then update the box content, it's going to change that shipment in Seller Central as well and change that to 5. So I don't have to go to Seller Central, change the quantity, then come back in here and change the quantity. I just do it in one place, and we take care of the sync for you.
Very nice. Yeah, man, it makes selling on Amazon a breeze now. I do have to admit that. It makes it so much easier. I mean, to the new people that are in here, and I appreciate everybody coming in and watching. I did get emails and text messages. I'm sure you heard my phone going off. Is this going to be a replay? I'm still at work. Is this going to be? It's still going to look a little intimidating, but if I was to have somebody from Amazon on last week and showed you how to list on Amazon, and then you watch this and, well, that's a breeze. This is going to be a breeze now. Listing on
especially
Amazon,
when you figure out the label printing.
Oh my God, label printing. As soon as you hit add to batch, the label comes right out. It's so nice. It is so nice. So no, that is very, very cool. So tomorrow we are going to be on with a little bit more advanced. What kind of things are we going to talk about tomorrow, Jeff?
Yeah, we're going to go into the unlisted inventory page, kind of go through that, give you an overview of that. I can also go into, if you're working with a prep center, that process with uploading your shipping plan and from start to finish, even in Seller Central, we can go through that. I also want to make sure that we touch on the settings page because I want to make sure that it's very clear on these advanced settings on how you can set those to make sure it just streamlines your process from the, default from last entry to the auto price rules and how to set those up with your minimum and maximum if you decide to use those. I want to touch on a little bit of the integration too with repricers that we have here. It's pretty simple to set up, and pretty much any question anybody has, I can stay as long as you want tomorrow.
Okay, excellent.
We can answer any questions and live demo. I don't want to actually go into anybody's account to show them how to fix a problem because I don't want to reveal any of your private information. But we do this a lot in support. Our support hours, if you have an issue Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., you can hop on chat. Just go to support.inventorylab.com. There'll be a chat icon in the lower right. But outside of those hours, we have email support 7 days a week now up until 10 p.m. Eastern. So shoot us an email and we can walk through any issue you have. Sometimes it takes a screen share. I also would like to offer your viewers, the people that you help out on a regular basis, if they want to do a one-on-one with me where it's just them and myself in their account, I will send you the link where they can just get right on my Calendly and book an hour with me. And I can just go whatever problem they're having in their account. It's not recorded, so it's just between them and me. And we can dive deep into any issue they're having. So,
thank you very, very much. That's very cool. That is, I put my email in. People are interested. Definitely, and I want to reward. I know we only have like a dozen people here off and on, and then half a dozen in Facebook, but I want to reward the people that are in here that stayed with us. So when the broadcast is over, I want you to go in the chat and just make a comment. Love the content. This was great. I have this question for tomorrow. And then tomorrow, at the end of that broadcast, I'll award a winner a prize. I'll come up with something. I don't know what it is right now, but I will definitely come up with something because I want to reward the people, at least one, maybe two of the people that were in here and stayed with us the whole broadcast today.
Hey, you know what? I'll throw in a swag bag from Inventory Lab as well for each of those winners. So we'll toss in that as well. Well, you can give me their email after the fact, and then we'll contact them and get them some swag.
Excellent. Cool. Very, very good. Thank you very, very much.
I'll see if I can add in something else tomorrow too. I'll check with the powers that be and see what we can do for another prize that would be worth sticking around for. So.
Very cool. All right. Beautiful. Thank you very much. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. It's okay if you don't have any questions, Sharon. You stayed, you listened, you learned. Who knows? You may be the next big Amazon seller in the chat. Use an Inventory Lab. Look at Yellow Brick Road Reselling. He's using it. He's loving it. Like I said, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be selling on Amazon.
Always good to hear.
So thank you, and I will see everybody tomorrow. Same Inventory Lab time, same Inventory Lab station.
Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff.
You bet. Thanks for having me.